Kamen Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dustin Rider here. Welcome to my review for the RKF figures for Kamen Rider Valkyrie, Jin, and Hirobi. Since these are such simple reviews and I got these guys at the same time, I decided to group them together. Before I forget, I'm just going to go over the small amount of accessories they all include. Both Jin and Hirobi just include some generic open hands, and they have like the kind of standard closed fists on them now, and that's it. I kind of wish one of them would have come with the new like suitcase bow and arrow like weapon, because it just came out in the show, so it's not like it's a spoiler. And some of the others have included stuff such as, I mean, I guess Rising could have come with one too, but she comes with another Force Riser, which is individual, as well as her separate hands. And as I talked about during Vulcan's review, it's kind of unfortunate that you can't remove just the Force Riser, or keep calling it the Force Riser, the Shot Riser. You have to remove like the whole mechanism, so it's a little bit inaccurate. I guess you could have her dual wielding, but it's just something that slightly bothers me. I'm only going to go over Articulation for one, since they all pretty much share the same mold, and I'll mention any like inconsistencies between them. But as with the other ones I've taken a look at before, I think these are overall pretty solid. Obviously not Figuarts level detail, but I think they get the job done, and I think they're a little bit of step up from some of the lesser RKFs from last year's line. I think they all have a pretty solid standard level of paint. Like last year we had some that looked really good, some that were like okay, and then some that I thought were not trash, but like almost trash, like just about to be thrown away, where like the colors were just so, like Waz wasn't the greatest. It was so gray that it was like overwhelming it, but I think they have a solid balance where all the ones I've gotten so far feel like they're on the same level of detail, and I think they did a pretty good job on this. The white looks clean and it contrasts against the colors here nicely, and like the other parts don't look too cheap, and I think it represents it pretty well for a cheaper price than waiting for the Figuart and stuff like that. You know, you don't get as much details on the back or anything, but who poses their Figuarts like this anyway? But still, you know what I mean. And like I said, you have to remove this whole thing to get that, and it's not very detailed in that respect, but you have some pretty solid articulation here. You get the all-around movement, you get the elbow joint swiveling at the fist, nice ball joint at the leg, you get your knee joint here, little ball joint at the foot, and then the head and neck articulation, and then the articulation here at the waist. I've always described these figures, which is pretty much on the money for most of these types of lines for the last few years, RKF and its predecessors, where the articulation for these figures is pretty much right in between a Figuart and a basic Power Rangers action figure, or at least the old Bandai ones. So that's kind of right where the articulation sits. This guy doesn't look too bad. I think that the gray here definitely borders on being that kind of cheaper looking gray silver, but not quite, so I think they did a pretty solid job on it. I really like the way that the purple looks on this guy. I think it really shines well, so I'm really happy with that. His chest piece is a little loose there, which is kind of annoying, and his head articulation is a little bit stiff. Like you have to go over this hump here because of this, and it's a little bit stiff, but that could be something that's just exclusive to mine. And then obviously you don't have details on the belt and stuff, but you know, I think he gets the job done just fine. I'm happy with it. I'm not sure what I'm doing with Figuarts for these guys because the quality's been so hit and miss, so I'm kind of thankful to have these cheaper alternatives. I think he looks pretty good. I think that he definitely runs dangerously close to the pink looking a little bit cheap and overwhelming, but I think it mostly looks pretty solid. Like the silver has a nice shine to it, the pink color's pretty decent. Like just from certain angles, like when I look this way, it reminds me of Waz from last year, where you had it being too overwhelming and it kind of bled it out a little bit, but this one I think has moments like here from the top. I think it looks pretty solid, nice contrast. Obviously you're not getting all the little intricate details, and there's a few little paint splotches there, which is kind of annoying. And the only real articulation note I have for him is you also kind of have to go over the hump here of the collar, but he doesn't have, like when I do this, I don't feel the pull I do on this one for the head joint, or the neck joint, so I'm not sure what that's about. But yeah, they're overall pretty solid. My opinion on these three guys isn't too different from the other ones I've covered. I think if you want something either right now, or you just want something a little bit cheaper in general than the Figuart, then these are the way to go. Even though they're not the best figures ever, they're just kind of, I would say, mid-ranged. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Until next time, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for all my videos. Helps me out a lot. Till next time, Dawson Rider, signing out.